Is it just me, or was this basically everyone going in to see House of Gucci? Father, Son, and House of Gucci. Raise your hand if you did that during the movie when she actually did it. I certainly did. Hey guys, I'm here to talk about House of Gucci, and you remember when this trailer came out and how fucking exciting it was? It was an immaculately edited trailer. It was rich, it was electric, it had edge, it was sharp. It got me so excited, and I think all of us so fucking excited to see this movie. But it can be a double-edged sword when you get such an amazing trailer, because now that movie needs to live up to how amazing that trailer was. And it bums me out to say that I feel like Gucci did not live up to what the trailer presented. But there were definitely some good things, so we're gonna talk about what I loved about it before I kind of dive into reasons why this movie didn't work as well for me. But right off the bat, I just need to start off by saying that Lady Gaga is perfect in this movie. A lot of people I know probably are going to see this movie only because of Lady Gaga. I will say she was definitely the selling point for me. It looked like an interesting enough story in and of itself, but there's no doubt about that Lady Gaga is the megastar poster girl, poster woman for this movie, and I can confidently say that Lady Gaga is the best part of this movie. Her acting is perfect. She is a sensation. She brings the energy and she steals every single scene she's in. You're gonna watch this movie and I guarantee you will enjoy the moments that she is on screen the most. When her character is front and center, taking the reins, that's when the movie is most engaging, and Lady Gaga brings it. If there's any category, any area that this movie does warrant award recognition, it's actress for Lady Gaga. Abso-fucking-lutely, she was the best part of the movie and just nailed every single moment. The next performance standout for me is honestly Jared Leto, who is totally hamming it up for this movie. He goes so over the top. He goes Super Mario Brothers with, it's me, a Mario. It's like, he brought so much energy to this role, and quite frankly, the movie needed it. There were certain critics that I think criticize his role because it feels way too much of a caricature and it feels way too over the top and not grounded enough like everyone else. And to a certain degree, they're right. He is over the top. He does take this role up to a 13, but with how low energy the overall movie is, I think that's why I appreciated Jared Leto. You get a different type of sharp energy and electricity from Gaga, whereas with Leto, you get a playful, hammy, escapism type of energy. The production design was fantastic for this movie, as well as the cinematography. It definitely felt rich, and when you are portraying a family like Gucci and the fashion empire that they created, sure, I don't think they went as far exploring the fashion angle, but the cinematography and presentation of the film felt very cinematic. It felt expensive. It felt intentional, and I really commend the cooler tones that the film did take in terms of its visuals. It's a very atmospheric, picturesque movie, and I do commend the overall production design. That also plays into the fashions. I will say Lady Gaga definitely stands out in terms of the fashions. Oftentimes the guys are just wearing very beautiful suits, but she definitely elevates the fashion recognition and the fashion presentation within this film, and those are kind of really the standout good things about it. And now I just kind of want to segue into why this movie ultimately did kind of flounder for me. Now, the ensemble was perfect. Everyone acted their ass off within every single role. There isn't one person I would recast. The production design was great. The material is there. This movie should have been so easy to make great because of the talent behind it. But what brought everything down and just weighed it down like an anchor, not letting this ship take off, was the script. This script needed heavy editing, and it was apparent because of how much, I'm sorry to say, this movie dragged out. It was 2 hours and like 37 minutes, and I felt it. I have no hate for long movies so long as they're well-paced and well-structured and they pay off in that amount of time. But this movie, you could have cut 30 minutes easily. And for those of you going in expecting the movie to kind of revolve around a murder that does take place within this movie, that is showcased in the trailer. And for those that know history, you'll know what happens, but I won't spoil what happens for those that have no idea what to expect. But there is a murder that is alluded to in the beginning of the movie, and then it goes back in time and tells about the events leading up to the murder portion, but they really don't spend hardly any time in talking about the murder and the defining moment that really does change everything for everyone. It feels like an afterthought. We spend so much time in the history and the world of the House of Gucci and the Empire of Gucci, and of course the marriage of Lady Gaga and Adam Driver's characters. But then when we ultimately reach the events that I argue are the most interesting events to explore in this true story, it gets completely almost sidelined and then quickly glossed over before finishing. It was kind of a bit of a boner killer, and I felt like the script did not know what to focus on. Does it focus on Patrizia as a character? Does it focus on the family of Gucci? Does it focus on the fall of the Empire of Gucci and what happens and what leads to this murder and the people involved in it? So when you have issues with the narrative and how you're gonna fucking present this story on top of the pacing issues and the slowness. Now, there were moments of electricity, there were moments of energy where it would reach higher levels, but then it would plateau quickly and then just stay there for far too long before reaching the next mildly interesting moment. And that happened way too often, and I especially felt that in the second half of the movie. When I was reaching the last third, I was sitting there thinking to myself, okay, I'm ready for this to be over. A technical qualm that I had is that I feel like the music was very underutilized for this movie. There were moments where it certainly did work, but this movie had a lack of a score, and I feel like it could have done with a lot more music. I mean, ambience, atmosphere is everything, and if you have a movie that moves a little bit more at a slower pace to really sit in these moments with these characters, that's fine, but you need to contribute what you can to the atmosphere to kind of pull people in. But there were so many quiet stretches of time that just felt long. But I feel like music can transform those moments so well, and I feel like they did not put nearly as much effort and time into the score and the overall music to cohesively fit with how they were structuring this story and the telling of this story. And that's what's disappointing when you have such a rich, electric, thrilling trailer around a story that is interesting and a story that I want to see told to the best of its ability with these cast members. There is so much talent here in front of and behind the camera to where this film has no right to be as dull as it is. Just a couple alterations, a couple rewrites, and this movie could have been brilliant. And especially with how amazing Lady Gaga is, you just want this movie to be just as amazing as her performance. This movie is not bad. It definitely has some great moments. I argue the first half is stronger. However, there are elements introduced in the second half that I found super interesting, but they completely mishandled in the execution. And then so much of it was just dragged down by how dull and lackluster the pacing really was. So at the end of the day, House of Gucci is definitely worth watching to experience Lady Gaga's transformative performance that I really hope does earn her some well-deserved award recognition. I'm excited for her career in Hollywood. I'm so excited for what she takes on next because this is such a transformative role. It is such a groundbreaking role, and she was perfect. It's definitely worth still checking out for the performances and especially seeing Lady Gaga just shine so brightly as she typically tends to do. I don't think you're going to be wasting your time, but just be mindful that you might feel the passage of time a little more often than you want while watching the movie. I'm going to give House of Gucci a B-. And that's my review of House of Gucci for you. I'd be curious to hear what you think, so feel free to leave your thoughts and opinions down below. And as always, thank you all again for tuning in. Until next time, I am Ryan Bamey, signing off. Bye, everyone.